cherry blossoms are in bloom. So pretty. Welcome back to AM Northwest. What should we pay for good financial advice? Here with what we need to know, we welcome back financial planning and consulting specialist David Swanson. Good to see you. All right, so let's talk about this. How do you determine what you pay?
Well, you know, people, what you pay for something is like probably the most important thing in deciding which advisor to select.
Sure.
And people have two main questions that come to see us. Number one is, do I have enough to last for the rest of my retirement? Do I have enough resources? And how much does it cost for me to figure out a plan so that I can implement that, okay? So when you're trying to figure out how much should I be paying for something, in the words of a very famous investor, Warren Buffett, and you really don't need to introduce him, as he's probably one of the most wise and has a profitable investment plans in the world.
Absolutely.
Price is what you pay and value is what you get.
Okay.
So we can all figure out what we're paying for something. No matter what fund you have, however you're investing, you're paying something for it. But to figuring out what the value is, what you're actually receiving, it really is much more difficult and you have to dig into it a lot more.
So how do you determine the kind of value you're going to get?
Well, that's the research that you need to go into to analyze this. So what we want to try to do is you can look at there's kind of 4 steps to this. Number one is you look at the company, you make sure you feel real favorable with the company.
You have to hire someone you can trust.
You got to have someone that you feel really good about, that you trust. That's super important. And also you need to have an advisor who's a fiduciary. That's very, very important because a fiduciary discloses the fees in writing before. So it helps you solve half of your problem. What am I paying for what I'm getting? Now, if you stay focused on actually what I'm receiving, that's more difficult because that takes time to do, and you have to evaluate that. So you have to have somewhat a leap of faith from, you know what you're going to pay, but am I really going to get what I'm going to get? So for example, if you're paying 1% for investment advice and you're receiving on average 5% return, you're making about 4% every year. That's pretty good. But if you pay double that and pay 2 and your average return over a period of time is 10, are you better off paying more to get a higher rate? You're getting 8% instead of getting 4. So, but you don't know that until over time. So that's why that evaluation process, you must trust that person and really understand the firm that you're working with. We build plans for clients for 30 years. We analyze everything that you have. We show you what you're going to receive going forward. And if that's something that you're interested in, you should give us a call and we'll be happy to talk with you. Should
we talk to other clients of yours? Or, for instance, whoever other satisfied customers?
So that, a lot of people ask for referrals for us. We don't give them because if you thought you were my client, you're very happy, you're successful, and then you have people contacting you all the time saying, and if you're going to give referrals, is it going to be your worst client or your best client?
Sure.
So it's really not helpful. You have to dig out other ways. You need to look at state registrations. You need to look at Better Business Bureau. You need to follow. You need to look and see what the company is and who that person is. But trust is really the most important thing.
And if they're not a fiduciary, that says a whole lot, right?
It really is. And you need to ask your advisor, are they a fiduciary? And put that in writing because, again, the key component here is that all of your fees are written down before you pay anything. And a fiduciary must do that.
Now, some investors don't have to be fiduciaries, so that's why you have to ask the question.
Almost all investors are not fiduciaries. And we tried to standardize that. The government did. And we're in the process of actually writing new rules to make everyone, or at least most advisors, be fiduciaries. But still, the standard is way different for non-fiduciary than a fiduciary. So please talk with your advisor and make sure that they are a fiduciary. And if not, seek a second opinion from someone who is.
Right. And then who are the clients that you like to help out most?
I like to help out people that really are looking for our service. The thing that I get the most enjoyment out, and I love working with people, that's really what keeps me going and doing this for over 30 years. The part that I like the most is creating a plan for someone and allowing them to retire right now that they would think they had to work 4 or 5 years longer.
Wow.
And they get to enjoy now this time with their spouse, and they get to do the things that they want to do right now when they're younger and they have more energy than later on in life when they may not.
Right. All good stuff. All right, we have some questions for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to take those questions, we're going to go to a break and come back and answer all your retirement planning questions. Don't go away. Thanks so much for watching AM Northwest. David Swanson from Swanson Financial is back to answer your retirement questions. And today we're talking about how much we should pay for financial advice. Our question from a viewer is, I am about to retire and I've just been letting my retirement savings build up in my 401k. Never worked with an advisor before. Can you help me to set up a plan so I don't run out of money during retirement? Because that's our biggest fear, is running out of money during retirement.
Absolutely. So you ask what our typical client is. That's our typical client. So someone who has built their assets up in a growth mode, saved, done very well. Now how do I convert that to income so that I can use it for the rest of my life and make sure that I'm going to be comfortable? So we would definitely have a contact with them, and they can call our office directly and we'll help them.
You also have to be able to know how you want to live your life in retirement, right? Like, do you want to travel a lot, or do you just want to hang out at home?
Well,
right?
That's actually how we build the plan, is that we figure out we don't start with really what you have, we start with what you want to do.
Right.
So we spend a lot of time figuring out the trips that you want to go on. Am I a travel trailer person, or am I a European, over
Right.
Airbnb
Do I
type
want to go
person?
on cruises?
Right. So we figure out what you think you want to do and what it's going to cost for that. And then once we have what your ideal utopian retirement looks like, now we assign value of what it costs to do all those things. Now we go back over to the inventory of your resources and your income streams, and we try to build a model that makes sure that that matches that. But you need to know that before you retire, that, oh, I'm doing too many things in retirement, I'm not going to have enough money.
Right.
Or, wow, I could be doing more things in retirement because I actually have more resources than I thought I had.
Gotcha. Next question. My wife and I are long-term PERS contributors. Our advisor has most of our money in the stock market. Should we be concerned? Explain what PERS is first.
So that's the public employee retirement system, and so that's anyone who works in the school system. State of Oregon has a PERS account, and you'll have a pension, and you'll have another savings account as well as an IEP account. So what we do with those clients, if you're bent on growth and you're getting ready to retire, you're in the wrong place. There's no question about that. Because if you have too much growth, you run the risk of losing your principal, and you can't generate income if your money's gone. There's just nothing you can do. So this market is super volatile. You did really well, but sometimes people don't. Kind of like your lawn. If you let it go, it would grow over your windows. You have to mow it. You have to maintain it. Well, when you get ready to retire, you need to actually start maintaining and cultivating your retirement accounts and reducing your risk so that you can make sure you have enough cash flow to do everything you want to do.
Next question. Is it true a fiduciary must disclose all fees in writing prior to any funds changing hands?
Absolutely, they do. And if I was on the other side of the counseling table, I would want to know that. And I would want to know it right before I get started, okay? Can you mail the plan for me, and how much is it going to cost? I want to know what that is. Well, a fiduciary, which is what we are, is an individual who would provide that information before any fees are paid, and that's something that a client really needs to know.
Yeah, get it in writing.
Get it in writing.
Question number 4. How are the fees at Swanson Financial compared to others?
So we're not highest. We're not the lowest. We're middle of the road. We are a fee-based advisory firm, so some of our assets we charge a fee for the portfolio manager to manage the assets, and others we charge a commission. But each plan is custom to each person. No one plan is exactly the same because everyone has a little bit different desires in their retirement.
Oh, sure, that makes sense. And question number 5. My advisor is retiring and we're looking to make a change. Would you give us your opinion on our situation without charging a fee?
So all of our initial appointments are complimentary. We review what your situation is. We look at what the strengths and weaknesses are. And if we can add value to you, then we would tell you what our fee schedule would be. But if there's nothing we can do or you're already set up. Now, a lot of people do this on their own. And they've done it on their own for a long time. And there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is that if you are the decision maker and something bad happens, your health changes, or you just don't want to take the stress of this, you must have a backup plan. You must figure out what your spouse would do if they had to take care of all this.
Okay.
That's why you should hire an advisor.
And when you go to see someone, shouldn't both spouses be there?
We really don't have appointments unless they are, unless there's some physical situation why they couldn't be. But it's a combination. No one plan is this person's idea or that person's idea.
Sure.
It's always a combination of the two, or it won't work.
Okay, we want to tell folks if they'd like to find out more about Swanson Financial, give them a call, 503-603-9900. We'll put the information on your website at KATU.com.